live in Brooklyn, baby. We live in Brooklyn, baby.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, the loud dude is Skillet Sauce. Can't see him, but you can still hear him. Once again, you can check out our show and all of the attributes on our Facebook page, Insanity Check. You can contact us or give us show ideas at Twitter, Insanity Check 12. And, of course, you can check out this show and all the rest of our shows in its full glory on our YouTube channel, Insanity Check Radio. Once again, I am Ken. My partner, Skillet Sauce, is on the phone from a non-disclosed location.
It sounds like he's with the dog fucker back there.
Yeah, I know, man. It's like parts unknown.
Yeah.
Probably Guantanamo. Anyway, so we've been talking about the tragedies of actually the youth, apparently, and we will be continuing this, but from a different angle.
Were you able to find the
only some of them?
Title?
I found some of them. I still didn't get that sweet page, but I still remember. Well, I mean, it should be enough to prove our point anyway.
Yeah.
So basically, our last story it has to deal with these Sandy Hook shootings, because, and any of you who are, I guess, over 30 will find this familiar. Idiots, once again, are looking to blame the easiest, simplest thing for this dude's actions. They're trying to go after the video games yet again. Again, if you're old enough, you remember that this bullshit was taking place in the fucking 80s. Okay, they've already been doing this since fucking television was invented. They've been worried about how TV is fucking with people's minds and blah blah blah. Then you had this C. Dolores Tucker and fucking Calvin Butts. Fucking.
Yeah, I remember them stupid.
Yeah.
That Dolores. My line, I love that from the Tupac song. Doris Tucker is a motherfucker. I love that Tupac verse.
You know,
Dolores
they were
Tucker,
fucking with rap music, you know, back in the 80s and late 80s, early 90s, because the violence was making kids violent and misogynist and blah, 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 fucking blah. So now these people want to go after games like Call of Duty, which I personally haven't played in my day, in my lifetime, but Call of Duty and shit like that where, you know, ultra violence and mass killings, because apparently...
No. Wait a second. You got to be specific, because it's not just ultra violence. It's first-person shooters.
Right.
First-person shooters.
Because apparently gunman Adam Lanza was reportedly obsessed with the Call of Duty video game series, a military first-person shooter game which features assault rifles similar to the ones that he used to slaughter innocent children. That's right. So, these motherfuckers, yet again, think that video games, TV, and all the rest of the shit that millions, hear me, millions of people interact with, see, play, experience on a daily basis is the reason why this individual killed a bunch of kids in school.
Sure, right. You know, so, I mean, exactly what are they planning on doing? So what are they going to say? They're going to take this $1 billion a year industry, when you think of all of the games compiled and so on and so forth. They're going to, take these games and, water them down? Like I mean, what exactly are they going to do? What exactly are they going to do? If you take away the first-person shooter from console gaming, it's going to destroy because I believe that is the number one as far as in console games. I think the number one game are the first-person shooters. As far as in it's not console games, excuse me. As far as in the actual computer gaming, when people actually go get the systems and they spend like $10,000 on a super system, they're almost always like Halo and Call of Duty, Metal Gears, and all of those different kind of games. Nova, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what they play, I don't know, because they did the whole ratings thing. You know, the rating system.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did they say that worked? I don't know. Because you know why we don't know if it worked? Because kids aren't fucking killing each other on a mass basis. You know, they weren't doing it before the ratings. They weren't doing it after the ratings. So how the fuck do we know if the rating shit worked?
Well, and also, you remember this, you know, it's not necessarily just kids, because the kids aren't the ones that really shell out them thousands of dollars to play it. You know, I was watching that House of Cards, and Kevin Spacey's character, remember at one point he was in his basement as a congressman, whatever, playing one of those types of games. So, you know, to think that somebody all of a sudden is, you know, that's where parenting comes in. This is all a bunch of hokum. But I'm sorry for interrupting you. I mean, because I know where you're going to go with this, but to me, it's just infuriating, because this is all parenting.
Bullshit. I mean,
or lack thereof.
So, like movies and TV, I'm reading from this article. Like movies and TV, however, the video game industry is under pressure to keep the blood and gore violent games sell. Wait a minute, under pressure to keep the blood and gore because violent games sell well. Many politicians and celebrities have voiced out against violent video games and movies since the Sandy Hook shooting. Fucking idiots. To quote, the violence in entertainment and culture, particularly with the extraordinarily realism to video games, movies now, etc., does cause vulnerable men to be more violent. Senator Joe Lieberman. I'm sorry, anybody.
I believe that, though.
Well, okay, since you believe that, can you explain to me what a vulnerable man is?
Well, somebody...
It's 8 around 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's you in a dildo factory, nigga. No, seriously. I wouldn't necessarily say vulnerable.
Well, that's their term,
right? That's their term. I'm just giving you my term.
Okay.
Impressionable.
Well, impressionable is a little close. I think borderline crazy is you know, someone who can't separate reality from, you know, fantasy or fiction for the most part. I can't necessarily see someone doing that. Yeah, you know, I've looked into crazy people's eyes, and I can see them being influenced by something simple and basic like that.
So let's say,
but I mean, there's my thing is, I'm not necessarily saying they're right by, you know, blaming video games, because there's violence in America, period. You can watch the news and be, you know, get almost the same feel showing people getting killed in different countries and things of that nature. But I understand.
The only parallel I can see, because, you know, violent images, as long as we've had moving images from the late 20s, there's been images of violence captured on screen, and then obviously with television to a lesser degree until, you know, now without cable and everything. The only difference is, in my opinion, when you're playing a first-person shooter, you're interacting with it. You are actually the instrument of guiding the gun from left to right and shooting the zombie or shooting the alien or shooting whatever. But as far as in seeing images and imagery and stuff like that, we've been seeing that for over 80 years.
Right, and here's my point. And I, like, again, I can't expect times to roll back, but you must admit we do live in a more violent time now than 80 years ago.
Well, you know what? Now, see, I'm not necessarily sure about that, because the reason I say I'm not necessarily sure about that is I don't know how much violence took place before I was born, obviously, as far as on an individual state-by-state basis. I'm pretty sure some research can be done, but the fact that everyone has a recording device on them almost at all times,
right?
We have so many different news sources that we're privy to knowing more of the incidents of violence as opposed to years past.
Yes, and but even more than that, I mean, you're also more vulnerable to having these instances happen just because they have these outlets. Like, people get their ass beat now almost, you know, just to say, well, I'm going to put you on World Star. I'm a World Star you.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So I mean, media, you can't necessarily always separate, you know, the visual media and, you know, games and things like that from reality violence, because people do. It does play a part.
No doubt. But again, my whole thing is if, because to me this is very questionable. If people, and here's a non-violent game for you, or is it because you have an Italian man crashing his fucking skull into bricks repeatedly over and over again to get money? That's violent.
Well,
it's profitable, but it's violent.
But he was hitting mushrooms
And bricks. And bricks.
and bricks, right?
So again, my whole thing is if people want to find a solution, an honest solution, an actual solution, you know, just like again, my position on this gun ban, you don't want a fucking solution. You know, you have a hot button topic that's going to serve you in some way, but it's not to stop people from getting killed. Because
hit them
again,
with the title. Don't forget to hit them with the title.
Oh, I'm getting with the titles. I'm getting with the titles. Because as we anyone knows, more people get killed with handguns than fucking assault guns. More people get killed by cancer, cigarettes. More people get killed by cars. More people get killed by fucking double fucking Whopper cheeseburgers. More people get killed by 48-ounce fucking high fructose corn syrup drinks.
But no, that drink was manufactured by a guy that had a gun in his hand.
Must be. So again, my whole thing to 8's point, which is a valid point, but again, my whole thing is, okay, let's say that that's true. What's the solution? Because again, clearly, if you have 2 million people interacting with a certain genre, device, game, whatever, and let's just say, let's give a big number. Let's say 3 or 5 people go on a rampage. Is it the game's fault, or is it those people's problems? Because if it's the game's fault, because if it's the game's fault, then you have to now explain the other 1,999,995 people who did not go on a murder spree.
But you know what? Sometimes it's not necessarily always the murder spree that is that's the extreme case. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the, like, this nigga really just won the game. Not only did he reenact it, but he just, like, nigga won level 10 of the motherfucking game. Like, he just killed everybody in the whole, city. So, that's one thing. But I'm pretty sure to a lesser extent there are some examples of people emulating video games.
Okay.
Whether it's just from kids just repeating, like a lot of games have foul language now.
Sure.
Kids just repeating things that they heard on video games and going to school.
That's true. But my 2 points.
So, I mean, it's just extreme cases.
Right. But my 2 points to that is it's these extremes that they're using to justify the nonsense that they're trying to do. Right. Secondly, anybody here? Anybody listening, anybody watching ever heard of Cops and Robbers, Cowboys and Indians?
Yep.
We've been pretending to kill people for fucking ever.
But when you play Cops and Robbers, you don't necessarily see the other person's brain getting blown out on the wall.
Okay.
No, but it's still the act of, because even it went from Cops to Robbers to cat guns where you actually didn't have a projectile to now with the super soakers or the Nerf things shooting the Nerf bullets to where you actually see the projectile. The whole thing of mirroring and simulating acts of violent aggression that usually result in simulated death because the game can't end unless I hit you with the ball and you fall over or whatever and pretend to be dead. So I've been seeing that, and people have been seeing that since their formative years. But the only thing is, and I say it goes back to parenting, and
parenting.
I was always told that this is reality and that is not. But I remember one time I saw a film, just to be quick, I saw somebody get their throat slit in a film. It was Truck Turner with Isaac Hayes, and they cut this woman's throat. And the blood was orange as shit. But I was still, a little kid. I was like, oh, my God. And they were like, no, those are actors. That woman, has been in 15 other movies. She's alive. And once they explained it to me, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So it's just play. Yes, it's play pages on the big screen. So I knew the difference between that and also from cases where people actually went to jail for doing it for real. And I realized, oh, shit, if you do that, what you see on screen in real life, you go to jail and you don't want to go to jail. And I understood it.
But once again, that's you. Oh. I mean, I understood it as well.
But it's not just us. But see, that's the whole thing. It's not just us.
It's the 1,999,000.
We're the majority.
Right. But listen, all I'm trying to say is we may not be as overwhelmingly the majority as you think. Because a lot of that 1 million, they have had effects, by some of the media outlets, but it just hasn't been that extreme case. It hasn't been that I'm going to go murder everybody. Okay. Like, for instance, I give you a quick for instance, and you went to movies. You can't tell me that the movies, when movies like Scarface and things like that came out, that people didn't want to be drug kingpins in some sort of way. Whether it was just the way that they, walked, the way that they acted, they kind of emulated certain aspects of the film.
No doubt.
So now the extreme,
that was Bronx.
No. Now the extreme case is somebody emulating the end of the movie where he just, goes and kills everybody. Now that's going, to the left, but there are there's an in between there. It's not like totally
sure, but you know what?
Kill everybody
I'm going to tell you something that my psychology professor told me in college, and I've never forgotten this. He said that everyone has sick, twisted, fucked up thoughts, but it's the well-adjusted people that don't act on them. Okay, and again, so. Now you have a classification. You have the well-adjusted and the maladjusted. How many people is in the well-adjusted group? Oh, all these people over here. How many people in the maladjusted group? These people.
Why should the well-adjusted people suffer because of the few maladjusted people?
See, that's my whole shit. People don't want to do the fucking work it takes to raise your fucking kids, like Skillet said, to teach them right from wrong. Is it going to be perfect every time? No. Is everyone going to get the... No. But if most of the people are able to discern how to live a fucking quote-unquote sane, rational lifestyle, why we keep on placating? Because, again, if you want people to live and all the rest of that shit, you have to stop so much shit in our society. It's ridiculous. But you don't care about people living. What you fucking want to do is get fucking headlines and not do any fucking work. Because I'm telling you right now, you can ban all the fucking video games you want. You think that's going to stop some sick motherfucker from killing a bunch of kids again? You really think that?
Look, the dude in China, America didn't give a fuck about that story. Remember, the dude in China went wild crazy with a fucking kitchen knife and slashed up all of those kids. Violence will never stop as long as man is on this planet.
Ever.
As long as man is on this planet, there will be violence. There will always be violence. What they're going to do, and I personally think they're going to push people to where everything is underground to the point where, because, like during the Prohibition days, they tried to stop people from drinking with all that push bullshit or whatever, and people went underground and started, and they literally created a new genre of gangster because of trying to suppress people. You try and take sex away. They took sex away from fucking 42nd Street, all those different places. You could just walk into a place, they rezoned it, said you can't have it anywhere near a school. What happened with the internet? Oh, shit, I can still get my freak on. Internet blew up because if I want to see some perverted shit, I'm going to fucking see it. They ain't nothing
hold on a second. I think 8 has something to say.
So where do you go to see your penises?
So just as a little example, and this is a truncated version, because Skillet and I saw on YouTube the spaghetti westerns, right? Now, these movies were made in the late 70s. I mean, the late 60s.
They were made in the mid 60s. They started being made in the mid 60s.
Yeah, well, that's why I was correcting myself. It was the mid to late 60s, and some of these were the early 70s. Yeah. And these are the titles of these movies. If anything could drive people to violence, it's the titles of these movies. If you meet Sartana, pray for your death. Now, what type of guy do you think Sartana is? What do you think he's doing in these movies? Light the fuse, Sartana is coming. I am Sartana. Trade your guns for a coffin. Okay, this is not like taglines. These are the titles of the fucking movies.
What about the other one? If you live, shoot. What
yeah. If you live, you must shoot. Can you get any more direct? Can it be more dire to your existence than shooting somebody by the title of this movie? Where's the other one? If you meet Sartana, pray for your death.
There was another one that had something to do with like 8 coffins or something fit to your coffin or some crazy. There was a craziest title. Yeah, I wish we could find that whole thread, because that shit was terrible.
Sartana killed them all. Okay.
And mind you, people that's watching and 8. Soon as I clicked on one, because all of these videos are on YouTube to watch.
On YouTube,
a movie. I clicked every one of these dudes. I clicked on 3 of them, rather. I clicked on 3 of them. Mm-hmm. There was at least 5 deaths before the title of the film came on. One film came on, these 2 guys was rousting this guy, They was slapping him around. They had some woman that was his daughter. She, was tired of seeing him get rousted, so they kicked her in her short ribs with the pointy boots. He protested. They put 2 bullets in him quick. Then Sartana came and gunned all of them down, and then the credits rolled. That's when the credits rolled, and every one of them fit the same motive. So if you're not talking, why wasn't there just wanton cowboys just gunning people down in the
seriously. Just one more I just found. Have a good funeral, my friend. Sartana will pay. I mean, again, this is nonsense. This is bullshit. As 8 himself just said, there is so much violence depicted in this country. For you to actually believe that this one fucking medium and this one title of a video game was the cause of this lunatic's actions, then you're all fucking morons. And again, like I said in the last segment, you are weak and stupid, and you will have us all pay for this shit.
Yeah, we'll all play and we'll all be enslaved.
I don't believe anything has a direct effect as far as play the video game, kill someone. Like, wow.
Then why directly take the video game away?
Right, and I'm not necessarily saying I agree with taking the video game away. I'm just saying that I can see how there is some effect.
Right. You know what? I'll go with that.
I can see that there is some cause and effect. Now, this is the sole reason? No, there's probably some medication lapsed. There's probably some other home issues going on. Right, but there is some, cause and effect.
That might be the case. But again,
I was going to say, let me ask you guys a question because
real quick, we coming down to the end.
So yeah, this parallels the whole thing. There was a movie theater called the Duffield Downtown, and when Godfather 3 came, some fool, 2 dudes got in an argument and someone got shot. Always some fool in the hood got shot. And they bulldozed the entire place. The Empire Roller Ring. One guy got shot. They said, we're going to bulldoze the whole place. No more. Everyone had to pay because of a few idiots. And I remember how that made me feel. I'm like, wait a second. I've been going there hundreds of times, no problem. So because one fool gets into an altercation, everyone has to suffer, and that's my point. That's my issue. We should not all suffer because of the few that turns to be maladjusted.
But it happens, though. Let somebody come in here and shoot up one show. SD World Vision will officially be shut down.
Well, these are the choices that people decide to make. Anyway, thank you again for coming through. Once again, you can check us out
next week, everybody.
Yeah, once again, check us out on Facebook, Insanity Check, Twitter, Insanity Check 12, and our YouTube channel, Insanity Check Radio. Skillet will be back by my side next week. 8 will be here, and it'll be a good time as usual. Thanks a lot.
Take care, everyone.
We're trying to make it, baby.